Guys, hope everybody's well. I'm looking forward to the weekend. Happy Friday. I just wanted to come and share some encouragement as we get closer to Christmas, which means we're now closer to the new year. So, all those ideas that you've written down, or all the things that you want to execute in the new year, it's all starting to become a bit more of a reality. And whilst that can be exciting, it can also be quite overwhelming at the same time. So I just wanted to come and speak with you to let you know that wherever you are right now is where you're meant to be. Wherever you are right now is where you're meant to be. Whether that you're up here and you're doing really well, you're here, you're getting there, or even if you're down here. And I know if you're in a struggling state, that's not very encouraging. But even though that's where you are, it doesn't mean that's where you need to stay. And I think sometimes we're not very accepting of our situations, especially when they're negative situations. And what happens is we try to attach ourselves to someone else's journey. We try to follow suit. We see someone else doing well with a certain thing, and we decide to attach ourselves to that. Now, I'm not saying that two people can't do the same thing. What I'm saying is it has to speak to you personally. For some reason, things don't flow, and then we can get, beside ourselves a little bit. And actually, it can be discouraging, it can be frustrating because we don't understand why, if it's working for them, it doesn't work for us. But what I want to say is, you cannot try to dance to somebody else's drumbeat. If it's not your personal story, you cannot try to dance to someone else's drumbeat and expect it to fit you. The reason our heartbeats are on the inside of us are because they're our own personal rhythm. We have to learn to flow with our own heartbeats. And as I always say, align that heart with God. And you find that rhythm, you find that dance with God. And that dance is through the dialogue that you have with God, that back and forth, And slowly but surely, you will start to find your way, and you will start to find your way on your own journey that works for you, one that God has aligned and one that God speaks into you. And when God does speak said journey into you, it's not going to be glitz and glamour. Blessings will come, but it's going to require work. It's going to require some sacrifice. It's going to require, you to step outside of yourself. It's not going to make logical sense because that's just not the way God operates. And sometimes we become stuck on logic. And the devil loves that because it means that we stay outside of our blessings. I can attest that you have to fight through that. It's not always going to make sense if he says quit that job now, or leave that house now, or stay in that house now, when you're saying, well, no, I need to move. If you have the conviction and it doesn't necessarily make sense, go with it. I know that it took me a while to get there. I believed in God, but it took me a while to get into that place of obedience where I no longer questioned what didn't make sense. I just did it. And I remember those first few times with big decisions. And because the conviction became so strong, because I was shutting the outside noise out so much more, I knew that's where the Holy Spirit was leading me. And when I went with it, listen, in our own strength, we can sort our problems, but it's patchwork. It's covering up the issue. It's patchwork. When you go God's way, it's done, and it's more than you can ask, think, or imagine. A lot of the time we have outside noise. We have opinions. We get on the phone with our peoples and we ask them for their advice. But their advice is wrapped in logic. It's wrapped in carnal thinking, which isn't God thinking. And so what they do is direct us based on that, and we take those things into consideration. Let God's voice be the loudest in your life, so that even if you do get advice, whatever he says is what goes. Trust God's timing. He is faithful and he's not going to let you down. It will require some works though. It's going to require some patience. It's going to require discernment. It's going to require prayer. It's going to require you to step out of yourself and be a little bit uncomfortable. But you will see the fruit. And I see it all the time, even with believers who say they know God, they hear him, but they're so panicked and moved by society's standards that they're not allowing his voice to be the loudest. They're letting society's voice dictate their steps because they are feeling behind. They're feeling out of sync. They're feeling that they need to get to this point or that point. All of that is society's pressures. You've got to trust God's timing. Anything he hasn't given you of yet is because you've not meant to have had it as yet. And whatever that looks like, because all of our things are different, be okay with it. Stop feeling less than for what you don't have and work towards those things that your heart's desires that do align with God. Work towards them. You will get it. Trust me, I know. And don't get me wrong, I still have seasons where I want to accelerate things myself and go before. I'm human, but I'm okay with that. I'm being okay with that. Part of being okay with that is that you can have the real conversations with yourself to check yourself. Being in denial that that's happening is how people end up falling on their face after the blessings, because they don't get real. They don't check themselves when their hearts start to stray. We're all guilty. Once the season is sorted and we're feeling good, many of us will go through seasons where we're not checking for God as much. And he'll humble us, he will, but learn from that so that you know better, and you know, regardless whether it's a rainy season, a sunny season, things are blessed, things are stressed, you still keep him at the helm. You still allow him to guide your steps. I've been there. And not only did God make a way, he made a way that I could never have fathomed. And in regards to the opinions of man, it's true what they say, because when God comes through, and it's not like I'm like, oh, I'm going to show you. Never put your heart in that posture. Let people be people and keep yourself underneath and in right standing with God. But when God does come through, it's true what they say. He will prepare that table in the presence, because I know for fact, because of how amazing he's come through in certain seasons, I've not wanted it to be public knowledge. I've wanted to keep that close to my chest, all protective. But the way he does things, who's meant to know will know regardless of. And so let that not be your portion. Let that not be your problem as to whether you'll show them or they'll see. Don't even lend your energy to that. Get into your inner self. Get into your heartbeat. What's making your heartbeat on the inside? What are those desires you've got, those passions you've got, those dreams you have? Part of that is attached to your purpose, which is why you think about it so often. That's why when you speak about it to someone else and they can't see the vision, that is why, because it's your vision and not theirs. So you can't expect that level of encouragement from them to come. So I want you to give this some thought this weekend as you jot down how you're going to execute these things in the new year if you haven't started already. Are they your things that you want to execute? Are they the things that speak to you on the inside? Do they align with God and his word? And listen, working in purpose doesn't mean being a pastor, and it doesn't mean being a prophet. Those are not the only ways. It could be a teacher, a doctor, a nurse, a cook, a volunteer in any form, like dance teacher. Ministry comes in any form. So stop trying to think, what can I dress up to look churchy or religious as to mean in my purpose? That's not how it works. Speak to God about it. And often, if you are in a struggly season, it will probably be attached to that. So yes, I just want to leave you with that for the weekend. We're not in a race with anyone. Society has made things that way. But I promise you, become okay with where you're at. Embrace where you're at. Take the blessings for all what you think it doesn't look like. For all what you've seen on social media as to where, and get rid of those narratives from social media, because there's so many, it's actually poison. I don't subscribe to any of that stuff, so I guess I'm not, as moved, but I can see where it moves a lot of people, and a lot of people are in panic mode. If I don't get that now, if I don't buy that now, if I don't claim that now, I'm behind, it's not good. Or they're willing to do the top up version of making it look like they have those things whilst they're suffering inside. That's a temporary fix, that's patchwork. We need longevity, we need substance, and we need real, genuine truth and blessings. Seek first the kingdom, and all will be added. I'm living proof. There's many others. We serve a faithful God, and he will not leave us nor forsake us. So have a blessed weekend. Start noting down what it is you want to do, what you want to achieve, and start pressing into that. And understand your heartbeat is uniquely yours, and trust God's timing. Take care, guys. Have a lovely weekend. Bye.